It would be absurd to say that this planet, which is but one light unit of this solar system, and corresponds exactly to one light unit of an atomic system, is either a negative or a positive unit. It is both negative and positive, and its positive charge is always preponderant in that part which is nearest to its positive nucleus, which is the Sun. Also, it is its negative discharge always dominant in the portion furthest removed from the Sun. Two apparently opposite forces. It must be remembered that electricity is the attractive force and that magnetism is the repellent force. The attractive force attracts only attractive force, which is itself. Electricity attracts electricity. Electricity does not attract the repellent force, neither does electricity repel the repellent force. On the other hand, magnetism, which is the repellent force, does nothing but perform its function of repelling. It does not attract itself. A repellent force cannot be an attractive force, nor can the attractive force be a repellent force. Each can but fill its own office. One attracts, and thus gathers light units together into an appearance of solids of matter. The other repels and thus pries light units apart into the dissolution of solids of matter, into gases and vapors. Magnetism is that force within the universal mind substance which tends to preserve the oneness of universal uniformity. Magnetism desires a formless and dimensionless universe, just as electricity desires a universe of form and dimension. Magnetism prevents the apparent separation or division of divine mind into parts, as electricity attempts this apparent separation. Let me read that again. Magnetism prevents the apparent separation or division of divine mind into parts, as electricity attempts this apparent separation. All the force of electricity is exerted in the attempt to create the illusions of form and dimension. All the force of magnetism is exerted in the attempt to destroy all illusion, all form, and all dimension. Neither force completely fulfills its desire, for each partially thwarts the other. The energy of magnetism is the elastic energy of expansion, a straining energy ever pushing toward the inertial line of equalized pressures, which lies between any two masses, while the energy of electricity is ever pulling toward the pulsing heart, the gravitational nucleus of every mass. Elasticity. One of the outstanding characteristics of motion is elasticity, which also appears to be an attribute of the one substance. Elasticity is due to opposition. Elasticity is that force developed in the one substance of mind as a reaction to the action of electricity. It is this quality of elasticity which gives magnetism its rebounding force. This elastic magnetic reaction, which is forever and eternally pressing against electric action, is that force which surely restores all opposed motions to inertial equilibrium. Imagine electricity as a compressed spring with magnetism eternally ready to take advantage of any let-up in the contractive force which is holding it in compression, no matter how slight a relaxation that might be. If one could imagine such a thing as an absolutely complete and sudden withdrawal of all electrocontractive energy, the instantaneous response from this elastic counterpressure would cause a cosmic explosion which would instantly destroy all appearance of form. The universe would then be one of equalized pressure, and opposed motion would be at an end. This sudden expansion is exactly what occurs when man combines two or more elements which desire to get away from each other because they are tonally too far removed from each other to be possible mates. The elasticity of magnetism takes advantage of the sudden let-up in the process of generation, and rebounds so swiftly that it instantly tears apart form which otherwise might take 1,000,000 years to disintegrate. It is this force of elasticity in magnetism that is constant in its resistance to any appearance of integration into any form whatsoever. Electromagnetic opposition. Magnetism is radiative and repellent, as electricity is gravitative and attractive. Magnetism repels, electricity attracts. That which electricity integrates through gravitation, magnetism disintegrates through radiation. Magnetism is the brake upon the wheels of electricity, resisting its generation of higher potential, and registering that resistance in heat. Electricity is the accelerator which speeds magnetic radiation, the expansion of which is registered in cold. Electricity and magnetism are actually opposing forces which leap away from each other in exactly opposite directions. Forces which depart one from the other do not attract each other. Opposing forces oppose each other. To say that positive charge and negative discharge attract each other is to say that electricity and magnetism attract each other. This would be equivalent to saying that centripetal force attracts centrifugal force, or that generation attracts degeneration, or that a charging body attracts a discharging one. One might as appropriately say that life attracts death. Electricity and magnetism are opposites, and opposites move in opposite directions. One is accustomed to thinking that male, which is preponderantly positive, attracts female, which is preponderantly negative. It is not the negative charge of the female which is attracted to the positive charge of the male, but rather the positive charge of each attracts the other. In youth, when the attraction of opposite sexes is at its maximum, the positive charge of each sex is at its maximum. In age, the negative discharge increases. The disintegrating magnetic force dominates. The positive charge decreases, and as a result, the attraction of each sex for its opposite decreases until it disappears and repulsion takes its place. The apparent attraction of each action to its reaction is due to the desire of the active force within each for accumulation, and the consequent continuance of the evolving ideal of itself through that accumulation. When action is preponderant as positive charge, form of ideal evolves. When reaction is dominant as negative discharge, form devolves. The record of the ideal of both action and reaction is registered in inertia. The chemist, when breaking up compounds, is accustomed to see in a negative element seek the positive pole, and a positive element seek the negative pole. He would know better how to interpret this if he would think of his elements in terms of sex, and also consider the process of regeneration of negative discharge by impact against the inertial plane between a discharging and a charging mass. When the positive charges of negative reactions are attracted to positive poles, centrifugally dominant force is conquered by centripetal dominant force. The negative reaction then becomes a positive action. The equalization causes reproduction. The union of an action with its reaction is always followed by the reproduction of separate actions and reactions. These reproduced actions and reactions are rebounds of the union. Magnetism opposes electricity in its desire to transform this universe into one solid, motionless, non-elastic ball of positive electricity. Electricity opposes magnetism in its desire to transform the universe into one of equalized pressures where opposites disappear into dimensionless non-opposition. Positive electricity is preponderantly electric. Positive charge attracts positive charge.